but they had sharp talons protruding from their feet and long tails that could whip around in the blink of an eye. Full-grown pure dragons could be almost twice a shifter's size or more. Their weight and strength made them difficult opponents, but not impossible to defeat. The wind picked up, bringing with it the distinct stench of dragon urine. The Bogran patrol was marking its territory on the other side of the border. It was a warning to those from any other Torque to stay away. The beast within Aidan growled, demanding he cover the scent with his own. His inner dragon had different priorities and did not care about politics or rules. He existed as a separate entity, almost trapped within the recesses of Aidan's mind, but he could be even more feral than the pure dragons. It was a constant battle to keep him contained. As far as Aidan knew, most shifters did not have to live with their beasts constantly trying to claw their way to the surface, but he'd always been more in touch with his inner dragon, even more so in recent months. His relationship with Bailey had somehow brought that side of him out. Beast liked the Slayer and wanted Aidan to form a stronger bond with her. Something about the Slayer called to him, defying all reason. One of the Bogran roared and let out a billow of fire. The flames hung mid-air for a moment before extinguishing.
"Why don't you come over and join us?"
Aidan winced at the menacing voice inside his head. The dragon had spoken telepathically in a method any of their kind could hear within a short distance. Falcon growled, signaling he had heard the message as well. Aidan and his patrol partner flew until there were no more than a handful of wingspans from the border, and stopped. They wouldn't cross the invisible line, but they did make it clear to the two Bogran males that they would get a fight if they came much closer. The green dragons hovered approximately 50 feet away, and despite their taunting, they knew the odds were not in their favor. Their bodies might be larger and stronger than the shifters, but they were also slower and less agile. Would they risk it anyway? Aidan and the beast inside hadn't gotten a good battle for a while. He half hoped the dragons would give him a reason to let off some steam.
"Think we'll get a fight?"
Aidan asked Falcon, using a private line of communication. The other shifter, who was a few hundred years older and more experienced, glanced at him.
"It is difficult to say. We have already killed several members of their Torque who made that mistake."
That much was true, but the last deadly battle they'd faced against a Bogran patrol was nearly 4 weeks ago. Aidan doubted the peace could hold much longer. These dragons were young adults, judging by their shiny, unmarred scales. They couldn't have been more than 50 or 60 years old. This could very well have been their first important assignment since leaving their mother's nests, and they'd looked to prove themselves. It was rather surprising they'd been entrusted with such a task.
"I believe they might risk it."
The green dragons inched closer. Falcon let out a warning growl, one that should have struck fear in the youth's hearts. The Bogran paused for only a moment, however, before continuing forward. Like two children, they were edging closer to forbidden fruit. Falcon shot a look over his shoulder at Aidan.
"I think you may be right." "Are you too scared to meet us?"
one of them taunted.
"Stay on your side,"
Aidan warned. As much as he wouldn't have minded a good fight, battling these young ones would be too easy. He would get no joy from hurting or killing them. The green dragon on the left let out a snort.
"And if we don't, you will not live to regret the decision,"
Falcon replied. The youths let out enraged growls and surged forward. Aidan and Falcon prepared themselves for the moment their opponents reached them, each taking a battle stance with their claws out. They adjusted their altitude to about 500 feet off the ground, forcing their attackers to come up to them. That left enough room for maneuvering, but it wasn't so high they couldn't survive a fall. Just as the 4 of them were about to clash, a loud roar sounded from behind the Bogran youths. They spread their wings wide and jerked to a halt right before crossing the border. A moment later, a large green beast came into sight. Its body was so massive that it had to be almost 3 times Aidan's size. They only grew to that proportion if they primarily dined on human flesh and lived to become ancients. Rare dragons who survived well beyond the normal life expectancy.